WRNR studios. It's time for Eastern Panhandle Talk with Rob Mario and David Welch.
Thank you, Cliff, and welcome into the program, everyone, on this beautiful Thursday morning here in West Virginia. It just doesn't get nicer than that, and we're so happy that you're making at least part of your morning, spending part of your morning with us here on Eastern Panhandle Talk with Rob and Dave. Rob is out on vacation. Matt Miller is in, as he has been all week and has been since 6 o'clock this morning. Our sponsor for this segment is Miller Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram on Route 9 east of Martinsburg, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty. If you want to join in on the conversation today, our phone numbers are 304-263-6540 and 263-6586. We always enjoy hearing from you. You can, of course, listen to the program on 740 AM, 106.5 FM, cable channel 10 in Berkeley and Jefferson County. We also stream on Talk Radio WRNR, or you can download our app on WRNR Talk Radio and take us anywhere you want to go. Our intern, Siobhan Hunter, and our producer, Sherry Dieter Davis, all in their places this morning as we kick off what I think is going to be, Matt, a different kind of program today than we usually do. And one of the reasons it's going to be a little different is I've invited into the program today my dear friend, and I say old friend in the number of years we've known each other, not in her chronological age. Katherine Cobb, welcome into the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And you promised to stay with us the entire 2 hours.
The entire time, whether you like it or not.
Well, Katherine, you might know Katherine as an author. You might have read one of her books. You might have also read many of her columns. It is what it is in the journal. I think for the last 15 years, once a month or so.
Yes.
Your columns have appeared there. And a couple of weeks ago, you wrote a wonderful column in which you said goodbye. Tell us about what's going on in your life and leaving the Eastern Panhandle and what this area has meant to you.
Yeah, so it was a poignant moment for me to write my last column here. My husband was relocated. His company's relocating down into South Central Virginia, and it was something that we knew was coming, but not for a long time, and it sped up a little bit on us, and we had to switch gears from what we were planning to do, and that means exiting West Virginia pretty quick. So I wrote my last column, and I titled it "So Long, West Virginia," and it was
really good.
Thank you.
It was really good, as they all are.
It really allowed me to think about the 25 years I've spent here and how fortunate I feel to have traveled throughout West Virginia. You know, a lot of times when you live in a place, you don't explore it all. You stay in a certain region, or you maybe get to the state capital, or you don't always see the whole state. But I've actually, in that 25 years, really spent time in all sorts of nooks and crannies of West Virginia, and it's such a beautiful place. It's one of the, I don't know about a lot of states, but where I've been a lot of cities. And it just seems like there's a lot of people in a lot of places. Like, you can cram as many people in the whole state of Montana into Fairfax County. So there are places where you get a little bit more of a breath of fresh air. And West Virginia is one of those places. There's not a lot of big cities. There's a lot of small incorporations, lots of rivers and mountains and hollows. And it's just really still so gorgeous.
I've gotten so used to it after 30 years here that I never thought this would happen, but I spent last week in downtown Minneapolis, and then I spent the early part of the week in downtown Philadelphia, and I've now gotten to the point where I'm quasi-uncomfortable in the middle of a big city. And I was raised in Los Angeles. I went to school in the San Francisco Bay Area, lived in San Francisco. And by the way, Katherine and I both went to the same school, San Jose State University. Go Spartans! And, at different times, about 20 years apart, I think. But we were both there which is a pretty large university. And San Jose, most people don't know, is the 10th largest city in America.
I didn't know that either.
Which is amazing. You hear about the San Jose Sharks or hockey team or whatever. Most people don't realize that. Before we get into some other things, this is going to be a great show. I just want to do a quick tease on this. We're bringing in today at 8:30 banjo enthusiast Jim Morris. At 9 o'clock, get this, Matt, school bus conversion artist Will Sutherland. I've never met a school bus conversion artist in my life, so that should be a lot of fun. And then Cannonball Road participant Dan Rowzie at 9:30. Those are all guests that were handpicked by this lady right here. So she's not only the co-host today, we'll probably make her assistant producer as well. Yesterday, we threw out on Facebook, Catherine, something that's kind of interesting, and Siobhan Hunter, who was our intern for the summer, worded, I think, this poll very well. We put it up on our Facebook, and so far, it has reached about 1,200 viewers.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and a whole bunch of comments. Savant, the question was, should Facebook be used as a way to express political opinions? And that came from a comment that was put on Facebook 2 days ago in the aftermath of the whole Trump-Putin situation, we'll call it. And Eva Visson, a restaurateur here in Martinsburg, put up a very nice Facebook about, I'm tired of all the political hatred. Let's talk about the good stuff that's going on here in our city and in the Eastern Panhandle. And Siobhan put this question up. Siobhan, what's your read on this so far? Because my quick read is that there's a lot of opinions on this issue.
Can't hear.
Oh, she can't hear. There's the opinions range from absolutely you should be able to put your political opinion on to not being. Siobhan, come on in and join us in the studio if that mic's not working there in the newsroom. Grab a microphone here, anyone you want, and give me a quick read on what you saw in our poll in terms of how the split goes. Are people more or less for or against political opinions being expressed on Facebook?
I think it was almost completely split. A lot of people said yes, Facebook is for publishing your opinions and freedom of rights and all that stuff. And then a lot of people said no, period. Just no. So, yeah, it was pretty down the middle.
Brian, one of the people commenting on this, says it's a free world, but I'm into it's good for light discussion, but hard to have a super rich, in-depth discussion. That's for face-to-face. My dear friend Fran writes, I prefer discussions of substance with well-thought, well-reasoned arguments to pictures of one's lunch, updated scores of sporting events, and 230 pictures of a beach trip. 2 to 4 is enough, really. Was one of my favorite ones. I don't know why people have to put up 50 pictures of their beach trip, you know? First of all, I will never put a picture of a beach trip or a vacation up on my Facebook because I don't want anyone to know I'm not home.
That's right.
I'm just saying.
You're thinking.
I just don't want anyone to know that I'm away. Any comments stand out to you? Siobhan, is kind of, I know you don't have it in front of you, but any that jump out at you as particularly interesting?
I don't think so. I just think it's funny how many, like most people that said no didn't actually give a reason. They just said no.
Rob writes, another Rob writes, if you value the Constitution and your unalienable rights, then yes. Freedom of speech even extends to those who don't understand politics, yet feel the need to post about them. You don't have to follow anyone, delete anyone who offends you, and move on.
Right. That's what people do all the time.
One of the things, too, about expressing political opinions, and I'll throw this out to you guys, see if you agree, that if you start to throw out too many opinions, some people are going to turn you off because that, unfortunately, is this age we live in. We only want to read comments from people who agree with us. One of the reasons I don't put my opinions out, well, first of all, I have a radio show, so I get to put out all my opinions every day. But I don't put them up because I want people to love me, and I know if I put a political opinion out there, I know half the people won't. So that's the one reason for not doing it.
There's a lot of people that want Facebook to just be a happy place, though, too. And politics stirs up a lot of contention and the way people respond to it and everything. So it's an unhappy situation, and they want to see the beach trips and the, even though it's kind of a false, view of the.
Okay, we're back on. I think that was a power surge. Okay, but we are back on.
It was
right now.
Trump.
It was Trump. It was the Russians. It was the Russians. I'm telling you, that was absolutely the Russians. You did managed a campaign this last few months ago for judge. You came very close and did not make it over the top. But your campaign used Facebook, I thought, pretty effectively to get the word out on your campaign. I don't think there was anything negative.
No, it was all very positive.
So I thought, so that doesn't really fall into the category of, vitriol or anything. That's just promoting your candidate's point of view. But I do think it's true that you take a chance when you start expressing political opinions, because you have to know, unless you have filtered all of your Facebook friends, you have to know you're going to get some pushback when you do that.
Yeah.
And some people just like to argue, I guess.
Yeah.
And so Facebook becomes a good place to do that. Well, anyway, very interesting. I want to thank everyone who took the time to express their opinion. So that range from absolutely not to absolutely yes. And so I guess it will continue to be a platform. And the bottom line is, if you don't want to participate in political discussion in Facebook, it's like tuning on a radio station or a TV channel. Don't do it if it's not something you want to do.
Yeah.
Another problem with Facebook that I've noticed, my wife and I have talked about this, and it probably leads to depression in some cases, but everyone wants to present out to their world, their universe, if you will, a really happy, positive picture of their life. And I would imagine that if you're depressed or if things aren't going so well for you in your life and you're seeing hundreds or dozens or whatever amount of people every day projecting this really happy life, then it could be kind of depressing to you. For example, my best friend and his wife are traveling in France right now, and my brother and sister-in-law are traveling in the UK right now, and I hate them both. I've just decided that I don't like either my best friend or my brother anymore, because I don't have the time or the money to travel to Europe and just spend a month just traipsing around the countryside. So I'm going to drop them. I've decided, both of them.
Go to the beach and take 42 pictures.
Well, here's one of my favorites. People who go to the beach and take pictures of their feet. Now, do I really want to see pictures? Do you want to see pictures of like some guy's hairy feet on the beach? I mean, that's just not my idea of a good thing. If you send me a foot picture, you're going to get dropped. That's all I can tell you.
We're setting up new guidelines right here today.
So what are some of the more awful things people put on Facebook? One of the people on here was Rob, mentioned food. What do you think about putting food? Oh, this is a great dinner. I'm going to take a picture of this dinner. What do you think?
Food porn.
I like pictures of food as long as the food looks good.
Yeah.
How about this? I like a picture of a food only when you, the one taking the picture, have prepared the meal.
Yeah, I have a friend who does amazing things.
That becomes your artistry. Mm-hmm. So when I do my annual peach pie, from peaches that I picked from my own yard, that I peeled myself and did the whole 9 myself with no help, I'm probably going to take a picture of the pie, because now I'm bragging about something that I did and I'm proud of. That's different. That's different than going and saying, hey, look at that Italian dish there that I got at whatever restaurant. So, that's a little bit. My favorite part of Facebook, actually, is hearing from old friends.
Yeah, me
too. People I don't see, that I would have no way really of staying in contact with. Now, I'm guessing that Savon's thinking about this because her generation is moving away from Facebook.
Yeah, I don't get on Facebook.
Why is it? I've been told the reason. Savon's 20 years old. I've been told. And she's in college, and I've been told the reason that the younger generation is moving away from Facebook is because their parents and grandparents all got on it, and they don't want to share.
It.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. We took it over, right? Don't mess with baby boomers, okay? And when baby boomers team up with X-Gens, you guys are in trouble.
Oh, yeah. All the kids are gone.
And then now we've sort of slowly taken over Instagram, too, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we've taken over Instagram.
Very true.
So what's left for you guys?
Twitter.
Twitter? Yeah.
And Snapchat.
And Snapchat.
You
I
and
will
Donald
not be
Trump on
joining
Twitter,
either.
huh? Are you a Donald Trump follower, Sean?
No.
You're not? How about you, Catherine?
No.
I'm not either. But there's a
I-
lot of people who are.
I don't love Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter is not something that I have gracefully taken to, actually. We have a Twitter account here, and I'm trying to get into the more modern things. I mean, I keep trying to keep up with everything.
Yeah, I've tried it a few times, but I just I haven't found it to be very interactive. So I prefer the interactive stuff.
You're majoring in strategic communication, Sivan, and one of the disciplines, one of the things you're learning is how to effectively apply social media to marketing, which is something I'm always trying to figure out. Is there a robust future for social media marketing as we go forward? It's not going away, is it? This is just something that we do.
I think that because first my major was just journalism. I just wanted to write like for a magazine or something. And then when I got into social media, I was like, yeah, like this is way better. Like I know it's going to last for a long time. I know I'll be able to find a job because it's so new still. And I really like it.
One of the things I've noticed about you, you are a very good writer. Any tips for a younger writer coming up, Catherine? Now that you're kind of a grizzly old veteran on it.
Write as often as possible. That's the only way you get better. And look for gigs like, if you want to write a column or a regular contribution to some publication, do that, or online. Anywhere you can find something steady or pieces to work on. And even without that, just write. Find things to write about. Spend your time doing it.
I've got an idea for you. We'll put it on our Facebook, and you can post it. Write a 300-word article.
Oh, gosh.
My Summer with Rob and Dave.
She's going to need more than 300 words.
You think?
She's going to need a bigger boat.
My Summer with two middle-aged guys. And now Matt for a week as well.
I was thinking one word's all she needs. Just awesome.
Awesome. There it is. Well, one-word article. That would be Matt Miller. I've tried to keep him out of the discussion. Matt, go ahead and tell us why. What happened to your voice yesterday?
I have no idea. Someone came and stole it.
Because you sound like you're about 94 years old. Nothing against 94-year-olds.
I'm working on it,
okay.
But I don't know. After we finished Eastern Panhandle Talk yesterday and going through the next couple of hours, doing a couple of pieces of production, I kind of went, I feel a little raspy, and the next thing you know, I sounded like this today.
See, I thought it was because you were yelling at Matt Crawford on Miller Time last night.
No yelling at all.
Wasn't it.
We enjoyed his trip to the All-Star game as he shared a few more experiences.
Let's take a look at what's to come up in the show. As I mentioned before, Jim Morris, who is a banjo enthusiast. We have a bus conversion artist, Will Sutherland, and a Cannonball Road participant, Dan Rowzie. Catherine, how did these three guys get selected? Because I asked you, I said, three people who have robust personalities and are funny.
Well, and you also had, we were talking about, I have an event tonight at the Jefferson County Museum.
That is tonight, isn't
right.
it? Okay,
so,
let's promote that.
Yeah, so I'll be speaking, but I'll also, there's going to be a focus on Panhandle portraits, which I wrote a few years ago, and features interesting West Virginians. And
such as me, by the way.
And two of them will be here today.
Is that right? Nice.
Jim and Will, but they're very interesting individuals, and Dan just happens to be my neighbor, and I know a lot about him. He's an interesting car guy, so.
What is a Cannonball Road participant? Do you know anything about that, or do we have to wait for him to tell us?
I do know something about it, and it's pretty cool. It's an illegal, outlaw, coast-to-coast race.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. And
cool and illegal. Who doesn't love that?
Exactly. And
Matt's a criminal, too, by the way. I'll tell you about it later.
Okay.
Yeah. He did a big boo-boo last week. He got called by the baseball commissioner, and they said to take this image up here of a game was on in the background because the camera's on live, and he got called by one of the spies at MLB and said, you can't put that on YouTube.
Wow. They're everywhere.
By the way, we are efforting to get our internet connection back. The power surge knock that off. So the black screen you're looking at on the TV right now is what's actually going out, which is nothing. So we're still
So they
working
can't
on
see
that.
us on
So
Channel 10, nor can they be on hear us on the web right now.
not yet. However,
Time to go dig out that AM radio out of the closet and turn it on, guys.
we are still videoing in studio, and so later you will be able to go to YouTube TV and still pull it up. But anyway, we're efforting, and hopefully here at the bottom of the hour we'll be able to get all of that back up.
I wonder what caused that.
I don't know. The power surge kicked everything, and so it knocked our internet connection out.
My theory is there's a squirrel out there that bit through the wire somewhere.
It's revenge on you.
And caused, and it was a relative of the squirrel that I killed. I got a text yesterday from Steve Boykin. I got to share this with you. Steve Boykin sends me a text, and he says, my next door neighbor has, I think he said, skunks underneath her house.
Oh, yeah. They're huge in Jefferson County.
Are they?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. That's
They would
just
even
not-
call it a little bit of a problem.
Really? A huge problem? Okay. Because if they're huge and it's a problem, it's a huge problem. And he asked me for the name of my squirrel guy from Morgan County, who we're going to have on this show sometime because he's such a fascinating guy. But he's the one that came over at first and set the traps, because when we first had the squirrel problem, none of the exterminators will take it. They exterminate bugs, but not, wildlife, if you will. So actually, Steve Boykin, who was, listening to the program, and I was happy to give him that recommendation. I did prepare him, though, for John Stevens, that's his name, over in Morgan County, and fabulous guy. Looks and talks and acts just like the Duck Dynasty guy. So that when he walks into your house, you'll go, oh, yeah, I've seen you on TV, because that's who he is.
Awesome.
Skunks are a big problem in Charlestown or all over Jefferson County?
Yeah, there's definitely big populations of them, and I don't know if I know they've talked about what to do about it, whether to catch or lease, that kind of thing.
Debbie and I had our house when we lived many years ago. We had a home in Pittsburgh, and we got skunked one time.
Oh, no.
It was bad.
It's brutal.
I mean, we had to have professionals come in the whole night. I mean, it was the worst thing as a homeowner that's ever happened to me.
Absolutely.
Sure, I would have rather had it burned down than be skunked. You're listening to Eastern Panhandle Talk with Rob and Dave today, Matt, Dave, and Catherine Cobb. We're going to be back after this break. Stay with us. There's more to come.
CBS News Update. Days after his summit in Helsinki, President Trump says he does believe Russia tried to meddle in the 2016 election. Most Americans are saying the same thing. A CBS News poll finds they also believe the threat is still there. Manager of surveys, Fred Backus.
Looking ahead, most Americans are at least somewhat concerned that Russia will try to interfere with the upcoming congressional elections. But while two-thirds of Democrats are very concerned, most Republicans say they are not very concerned.
President Trump now tells CBS's Jeff Glor the buck stops with Vladimir Putin.
He's in charge of the country, just like I consider myself to be responsible for things that happen in this country.
More from CBS's Laura Podesta.
The New York Times is reporting that in January 2017, 2 weeks before Mr. Trump's inauguration, the heads of top intelligence agencies showed then President-elect Trump highly classified information indicating that Putin personally ordered cyber attacks to sway the election.
CBS News.
Now your local news from Talk Radio WRNR. At first, authorities charged him with second-degree murder. Now it's first-degree murder. West Virginia State Police saying Bill Franklin Jr. stabbed his girlfriend, Melissa Lindemood, this past Sunday night at their home near Falling Waters and then called 911 to report it. Police found her lying in the kitchen. Lindemood was 37. According to a press release from his office, West Virginia Attorney General Patrick Morrisey and a coalition of 11 states are defending the right of the federal government to refuse abortions to unlawfully present underage immigrants. The coalition's recent friend of the court brief supports a federal policy which prohibits the government from taking steps to facilitate abortions for unaccompanied juveniles taken into custody after illegally crossing into the country. A jury says he did kill 3 people and tried to kill a 4th. 34-year-old Eric Shute, who's from New Jersey, committed the crimes in Great Cacapen, near some property owned by his mother just over 2 years ago. I'm Adam Boardman, Talk Radio WRNR News.
Now, with your local forecast, weatherman Bob Kukin.
Downtown Martinsburg, as well as all of the Eastern Panhandle counties and adjacent communities, all seeing lots of sunshine here for today. High pressure off to the north of the area will give us a light east to southeasterly wind, but the sunshine prevails with a high near 84 degrees. Overnight with a clear sky, we're down to a low in the morning of 62. And then tomorrow, more sunshine for the most part, although a few scattered clouds will come in during the afternoon. Small chance of a late day shower, the high temperature 86. The weekend could bring more numerous showers and thunder showers Saturday into Sunday. I'm Bob Kukin, Talk Radio WRNR.
The 28th season of the Contemporary American Theater Festival returns to Shepherd University July 6th through the 29th. A chance to see 6 bold new plays, including Memoirs of a Forgotten Man, a political thriller set in Stalin's 1938 Soviet Union. D.W. Gregory takes you to a world where justice is arbitrary and freedom as we know it does not exist. For a full schedule and more information, go to catf.org.
When you do the same thing for 135 years, you learn to do it well. For 135 years, we've been helping families through the hardest times of their lives. That's because we're a family as well. When your family loses a loved one, we're here to help. We're Brown Funeral Home in Martinsburg, Inwood, and Charlestown, Ranson. We're here when you need us.
Downtown Martinsburg is the place to be for the Fridays at 5 summer concert series from June 1st through August 31st. Enjoy great music and fun with well-known musicians, bands, and Martinsburg artists that'll liven up your spirits at the town square. Concerts begin at 5 p.m. and usually last until 7. Enjoy great music while visiting Martinsburg's Farmers Market, housed on East King Street, where you're able to enjoy fresh fruits and veggies, chicken and pork, and a lot more. Pets are allowed in the square during the concerts, provided they're on a 6-foot leash or less. For the full concert summer series lineup, go to MainStreetMartinsburg.com.
Hi, honey.
Where are you?
I've been in line at the post office for the last 30 minutes.
Why are you at the post office? It'll take you all day.
Where else do I go to ship my packages or drop FedEx off at?
Honey, going postal is way faster, has less lines, and friendly service.
Where's going postal?
It's right in the Common Shopping Center in Martinsburg. They'll ship your packages quickly, and you can avoid the lines.
Going postal should be your first choice for all your shipping needs. Going postal, the Commons, Martinsburg. L.A. Roberts is Berkeley County's oldest jeweler, where every season is new and exciting. In fact, new is old school to us, and though it's nothing new, our old traditions like exceptional service, quality, and value maintain L.A. Roberts Jewelers as the old master among so many new kids on the block. Whether you're a newcomer or part of the old guard, entrust all your fine jewelry needs to L.A. Roberts, Old World Jewelers for a new age, in historic downtown Martinsburg.
Welcome back into the program, everyone. Segment number 2. This brought to you by the Joe Ferretti Law Offices, delivering first-rate services and results for our clients. Joe will be with us again tomorrow morning on the Friday Morning Crew, along with Jason Barrett and Mike Carl and the Political Roundtable. So we hope you'll enjoy us for what I would think would be a good, robust political discussion tomorrow morning, given all that has taken place. And there will certainly be no shortage of opinions tomorrow morning. Not that there usually isn't. We usually have a pretty talkative bunch around here. Have you been following politics? By the way, Rob is out, Matt is in, Catherine Cobb co-hosting with me the entire show today. We're expecting to have as a guest Jim Morris, a banjo enthusiast, for this segment. So until he shows up, we will talk about other things besides banjos, because I don't think I can carry on a conversation about banjos for very long, although I love banjo music, though.
Yeah, me too.
Did you, I know you managed this campaign for judge this last time around. And I don't know if you'd ever played that role before.
Never.
And I'm not sure I ever got a chance to talk to you about what it was like to manage a political campaign.
Yeah, and honestly, the last time I dipped my toe into the political pool was with you.
25 years ago
yeah.
when we worked together at the same firm in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, and so I was a little reluctant because, first of all, I was never in the campaign manager role. That's why I called you and said, are you going to help me?
Absolutely.
But David Camilletti is a longtime friend, and I believe very much in his who he is, his abilities. Being a judge is a perfect role for him.
And still a family judge.
And he's still a family court judge, which is also a superb role for him. He's just, I just believed in him, and when he asked for my help, I wanted to give it to him.
When you go to the ballot box and you vote for judge, it's hard to make a selection. They don't have party labels anymore, which is probably a good thing. I supported that change when it happened.
But some people, it's very clear what their party affiliation is.
They do it. They make it clear in subtle kinds of ways. But what I found in this last election was the candidates from top to bottom all had assets that experienced in judicial temperament, and deciding between the choices weren't, in my mind, absolutely clear. As a campaign manager, you might think differently of that, or you might have maybe given it more thought than the average person. But I found in interviewing them all that each of them had assets. It's different than voting for, let's say, someone for a state delegate or state senate. While you certainly want a high level of integrity and experience in those positions as well, you can differentiate between are they to raise your taxes or not raise your taxes? Are they fighting for quality health care, or are they not? Are they on the side of the teachers during the strike, or were they not? There's differences, political differences that come out that really don't manifest themselves in a great way in a judicial campaign.
Yeah, I agree. And there were a lot of strong assets for the candidates. I agree. And the races were pretty tight in some cases. So I think what's hard is that in politics, the only way to differentiate yourself when there are a lot of assets is to look for what are some of the negatives. And all of them had agreed not to go there. And I think that shows a lot of integrity as well. But when you can't differentiate yourself in that way, it's hard for someone to know, well, what is there something?
This November, there's going to be at least one state Supreme Court race on the ballot, and there might be two. God knows there might be 3 or 4, depending on how these impeachment hearings go and what the result of it and the outcome of it is. But I think there's going to be a lot of attention that voters are going to be paying to the state Supreme Court race this fall, given the disaster that is this current state Supreme Court. And I wonder if there will be a judge, an experienced judge from the Eastern Panhandle, stepping forward and running in that state Supreme Court race. I haven't heard yet of anyone doing that, but I think it would be terrific. Right?
Yeah.
That's he had achieved some level of success here at playing for Washington High School a few years back. Got the scholarship to Potomac State, correct?
Yep.
And how's that gone for him so far? Is he getting ready to finish his last year?
Yeah, he's entering his senior year of college. I'm really proud of him for managing his both academics and athletics. It's not easy being a college athlete. It's like having a part-time job, really, when you're there. The programs are pretty intense in terms of the hours they put in. So he's finishing up his senior year, and he ended last year, his last season, which was spring season, with a 4.0, which was impressive to me too. He didn't get as much playing time as he'd like. It's tough when you're at the collegiate level. There's a lot of competition, and
no doubt,
you have to. He's always been very solid defensively, but I think offensively sometimes people beat him out. So, but you have to. All of those are life lessons, and you have to kind of rise to the challenge when you're handed challenges. Right? You have to say, well, how am I going to deal with this adversity? That's what.
When I was 18 years old, I tried to go play for San Jose State as a walk-on.
Did you?
Yeah, and I played my freshman year as at a D2 school, a school about the size of Shepherd, and I redshirted, and then I transferred to a D1 school, San Jose State, which had the worst basketball program in the nation at the time. They probably still do. And I knew the coach there from summer camps actually, and he invited me, found me in the dorms, and he said they would love to have you walk on, which just told me they would take anybody. But I played a month. I practiced with the team for a month, and then we all came to the mutual understanding that David was, at 19 years old, was just not good enough. Although he had a pretty good high school career, was not good enough to play Division I basketball. But I remember thinking at the time, at 19 years old, this life that I had led now since I was in the 5th grade, which was all about competitive basketball, was now over. It was finally, other than just doing it for fun, it was now completely over, simply because I didn't have the skill to go to that next level.
Well, there's somebody, and I couldn't figure out who actually said this, but some professional athlete allegedly said at some point we all hang up our cleats. It may be in Little League, it may be in high school, it may be in college, it may be professionally at some point, but at one day we all are going to reach that place.
You have written some funny articles over the years about your family. Mm-hmm. You often put your family into it and tell funny stories. You have special names for these 3 boys of yours.
Yeah, unit number 1, unit number 2, and unit number 3.
There you go. Which are good names.
Hey, there's Jim.
Jim Morris. Jim, just go ahead and get settled. Relax. We're all good here. All right. Let's flip that microphone over for him there. And you're good. Let's talk about why Jim Morris you thought he'd be a good guest here on the program this morning.
Well, first of all, Jim is going to be he's one of my subjects for Panhandle Portraits. I was profiling all these interesting people, and I was steered his way. He lives out in Hampshire County, and I heard he made his own instruments and made them out of interesting things as well, and that he was a musician.
This looks fascinating right here. What is this? This is what right here?
Is a cookie tin. It's basically a ukulele, but it's tuned like a mandolin. So I made one for my friend who's a music teacher at the blind school in Romney, and one of his students said, "Well, it sounds like a ukulele, but it's tuned, so it's a mandolele."
I love that.
This is a...
Let's try to talk a little bit more closely.
Okay, this is a cookie tin, but it's actually made in England, so I guess correctly it would be called a biscuit tin, which is what my British friends refer to these type of tins as, biscuit tins.
Those are absolutely awesome.
I like
love
them.
That.
They have most of them are highly decorated, and this one looks, I guess it's like a copy of a hand-painted serving platter. And it has a floral fruit scene on it, I guess. And I can give you a sound sample.
Yeah, let's do it.
A sound sample.
Slightly out of
now
tune
we're talking.
From the bumpy ride. All right, so the mandolele has nylon strings, so it has a ukulele type of sound, but its tuning is that of a mandolin, so you have a slightly higher range and you have to play chords differently on it. Would you like to hear a little tune?
I'd love to.
Okay.
That's why you're here, dude.
All right, well... So
you're listening to WRNR, the best music in the Eastern Panhandle.
The Biscuit Tin Mandolele. 20 years ago, Daddy worked a man named Cotton Eye Joe. Where'd you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe? Cotton Eye Joe, Cotton Eye Joe. Where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe?
Oh, yeah.
Nice, very good. Just so, I mean, I know we're on the radio. Some people are probably, is the TV back on, Matt? Okay. That this is, again, would this be a cookie tin, basically?
Basically a cookie tin. And
you made this, is that correct?
Yes, I made this, and it's a maple neck. It's some local, I try to get local woods as much as possible. So this is some locally milled maple on the neck of this.
Nice.
If I have friends who are woodworkers, and if they gift me with some non-local woods like some mahogany or some other kinds of hardwoods, I use them also. But in my own searches, I try to find local hardwoods, and I've come to know a couple of local sawyers, which is an old word for a sawmill person.
And your wife, what cracked me up when we met earlier was your wife calls your stack of potential instruments Junk Mountain. Tell us about that.
Well, I call it my treasure pile.
Treasure versus
beside
junk.
my workshop.
One man's junk is another man's treasure, right?
Exactly correct. So behind and beside my garage is a pile of what she refers to as junk, but I can walk out there and sort of look at all the things that are out there and say, a rusty gas can. I've never made an instrument out of that before. So I did. So
just
that might catch on fire
because it was there. I mean, because it was there.
It was there, and
you were drawn to it. You had to do it,
and I had never made anything from that before. So the end of that story is I did it. All my instruments now I do YouTube demo videos of.
Oh, fantastic!
And a guy in Japan saw the rusty gas can guitar, and he said, "I must have it." So he messaged me, and so it cost. I told him it's going to cost a lot to ship it to Japan. He said, "I don't care. I have to have it." And he has a collection of old American guitars that he plays.
So he bought it from you.
He bought it from me. I shipped it to Japan for an unnecessarily high shipping cost, but now every now and then he'll send me a video of him playing the gas can guitar.
Isn't that lovely?
How can people find, by the way, we're talking with Jim Morris from Hampshire County. He is we had billed you as a banjo enthusiast, but it's obviously much more than that.
It is.
How can people find you on YouTube?
More Banjo. MORBANJO is
MOR
Banjo.
MOR Banjo.
All one word. And I have probably over 300 demo videos of instruments that I've made in the last 7 or 8 years.
And you have a company, Back Porch Banjos.
Back Porch Banjos is, I never wanted to be a company. I wanted to do this for fun. But then when people started saying, can I buy that? So I'd sell it. Then I'd have to make another similar instrument. And it's turned into sort of like a little cottage, a one-man cottage industry.
You know that old saying, if you do something you love, you'll never go to work for a day in your life, right?
That's the way I look at it.
That's the way Matt Miller looks at it, too.
Yeah.
He doesn't really go to work because he loves what he does.
That's exactly right. You go out there and you feel a creative urge to make something. And part of this is a musical thing. Other part of it is somebody told me, well, they bought an instrument. They said, I don't play, but I want to hang it on my wall because it's folk art. And I never considered what I did as art. I just thought I was making instruments that people could play music on. But after
I'm looking at this, Jim, and I'm here to tell you this is art, okay? If you ever doubted it before, don't doubt it anymore.
I still don't consider myself an artist, though. I consider myself more of a musician who makes instruments. And some of my favorite things are things that other people throw away. So cookie tins oftentimes don't get thrown away, but they end up in thrift shops for 10 cents or 25 cents.
Yeah.
That's where I got this one. But stuff that people do throw away is like...
Okay, we are looking with what this is a tin coffee can. It looks like it's a fairly old one, and it's got like a guitar neck sticking out of it.
It's more like a dulcimer neck because it's fretted. Tells
you how much I know.
It doesn't have too many frets on it, so it's fretted like a dulcimer, and it's called diatonic fretting, which means it's a do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do scale. Okay, and I call these, I make them out of beer cans, soda cans,
So it doesn't have to be a coffee can.
It doesn't have to be. But I figured this is early in the morning for me to be playing music.
Yeah, there's a theme to it.
Sure. Bolster me up.
It's your Can-Jo, right?
I call them Can-Jos.
Can-Jos.
No matter what it's made out of.
How'd you know that?
She's talked with me before.
That's right.
I can tell.
So the Can-Jos, each can has its own unique voice. And the coffee can...
That was a beautiful sound.
That was beautiful. Yeah, let's play a little bit of that.
Okay, so...
I am blown away.
It's a can.
I am just blown away by this.
Oh, I come from Alabama with a Can-Jo on my knee. I'm going to Louisiana, my true love for to see. Oh, Susanna, well, don't you cry for me, for I come from Alabama with a Can-Jo on my knee.
Wonderful.
Absolutely
great. Love it.
Thank you.
Can-Jo. If that's a Can-Jo, what's the other one called? Is that a cookie Joe?
I call it a cookie tin. I make ukuleles, mandolins, and assorted instruments out of cookie tins. So I call this one a cookie tin mandolele.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I have cookie tin.
And that's the Can-Jo, right?
Right.
Okay.
I have a quick question on the Can-Jo. You said each can has its own unique sound.
Yes.
I'm thinking that coffee can has a pretty good roundness to it. A beer can would obviously be much more skinny. Does that change the sound?
It changes the sound, and also the coffee can is made out of steel. Most beer cans now are made out of aluminum. So if I put my arm on it like that, I can crush the can. But the aluminum cans, I like Foster's. I don't like the beer that much, but Foster's can...
the big tall Foster's.
Foster's comes in a larger can
Sure.
than a lot of American beers. Foster's is an Australian beer.
I went to a party once at the Australian Embassy, and that was the only kind of beer they served.
Well,
Foster's or Foster's?
My Aussie friends tell me, none of us drink that beer. We just ship it to you guys.
But that makes a good sound.
It makes a good sound because the aluminum is thinner and it resonates a little bit more. So I've made them out of the big 37-ounce coffee cans also, and each one sounds different. So they're definitely and every. Whatever I use, each one has its own voice. So none of them are alike. None of them have a typical sound. They all sound so different from each other, which is the fun part.
Okay, let's get to this one right here. What is this?
All right, well, one of the things that got me going on this was I came across an etching, a Civil War etching by a guy named Edwin Forbes. And Edwin Forbes was a news correspondent.
Okay, so you're a musician and a historian.
I am that also.
Jim Morris from Hampshire County.
Right. So the Edwin Forbes etching had a soldier sitting in front of a tent playing a cigar box fiddle. And so I just said, well, I wonder how that sounded. And this is about 8 years ago, and I hadn't...
So you actually saw a historic picture of someone with a tobacco box violin, or
it was a fiddle,
okay,
or violin. There's not too much difference.
All right.
They play and they sound the same, except a violin plays classical music and the fiddle plays
fun music.
Okay, great. You've just offended all of the concert.
Okay, so on the cigar box fiddle, since I was inspired by the Civil War etching of a fella, I'm going to play a Civil War era tune. Actually, the tune goes back much before Civil War, but in this country we associate it with Civil War, and it's called Soldier's Joy. Let me put some tension on my bow hairs here.
Well, that sounds amazing. Doesn't it, man? That just sounds amazing.
Right.
Wonderful. That's a lot like the music Debbie and I play a lot in our home, actually.
Really?
That era music. We love it.
String band music.
We need your CD.
Well, that's just absolutely fabulous.
My band is called Hay Fever, and we play more standard instruments, but on 2 of the tracks of our latest CD, I have this instrument, and on 2 of the tracks, I have a homemade banjo. So
you got one more there. We only got about 3 minutes left. Can we get that in before we cut it off? Because this is fabulous. I could have spent a whole hour with you.
Well, I'm sorry I was late. I got turned around finding Eagles.
Would you mind coming back sometime?
I'd love to come back.
Now, this is a first aid kit, folks.
a metal first aid kit. A friend of mine who works in the thrift store said, well, can you make an instrument out of this? I said, yeah, I can. And the clips to hang it on the wall make a really nice strap holder.
Perfect. Absolutely fabulous.
Pawn my watch, pawn my chain, pawn everything that was in my name. Oh, Lordy me, didn't I shake sugary? Everything I got done and gone. Everything I got gone to pawn.
That's awesome.
Very nice. I love that.
I would like to add that people can come and see Jim live tonight as well. He will be speaking with me at the Jefferson County Museum
What time?
Charlestown at 6:30 p.m. is when everything kicks off.
Jefferson County Museum tonight at 6:30. You'll be speaking and Jim will be performing.
And a couple of other guests.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Absolutely wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Is there a name for this event? Tonight?
It's just called Author Chat with Special Guests.
Okay, great. Jim, it was a pleasure having you, and I for sure will have you again because Rob's got to hear all this too when he gets back from vacation. But it was just great for you to drop in. This is absolutely fascinating stuff, and if you're interested in hearing more about Jim, you can go to More, M-O-R, Banjo on YouTube.
More Banjo.
More Banjo. Artist, historian, character, singer. Hampshire
Absolutely.
County's very own Jim Morris.
Thank you.
Nice to have you.
We've got about 30 seconds. Jim, why don't you start playing?
Great
and play
idea,
us right
Matt.
into the
Yeah,
break.
play us right into the break. That would be great. Okay.
This in my hand.
This would be the tobacco box banjo here.
Cigar box.
Cigar box. Cigar box. You're listening to Eastern Panhandle Talk with Rob and Dave. We'll be back. Stay tuned.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by TheraWorks Relief.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. Days after the president met with Vladimir Putin in Finland, Americans are weighing in on Russian election meddling. Manager of surveys Fred Backus has the results of our CBS News poll.
70% of Americans believe U.S. intelligence agencies when they say that Russia tried to interfere with the 2016 presidential election and may try to interfere again.
President Trump now says he confronted Putin during their 2-hour private meeting.
I let him know we can't have this. We're not going to have it.
He tells CBS's Jeff Glor.
I don't want to get into whether or not he's lying. I can only say that I do have confidence in our intelligence agencies.
The president is also talking about 2020 and possible Democratic challengers.
I dream about Biden. That's a dream. Look, Joe Biden ran 3 times. He never got more than 1%. And President Obama took him out of the garbage heap, and everybody was shocked that he did. I'd love to have it be Biden.
A wildfire has forced dozens of people from their homes east of Portland, Oregon.
I've never been through something like this. You got to get the hell out. It got a little bit scary.
So far, it's burned more than 70 acres. One person found dead near a burned-out tractor yesterday. Officials believe they were trying to create a boundary for the flames. Officials at an Army depot west of Philly say some workers have been injured in an explosion in an industrial area there. Details still sketchy, but the depot's Facebook page says the incident is contained. There's no suspicion of terrorist activity. There are more seniors calling the streets of Los Angeles home. Details live from CBS's Peter King.
The number of homeless seniors is up 22% to nearly 5,000 people in the past year. Lost jobs and housing costs among the causes. While many shelters help younger homeless people and families try to get back on their feet, one advocate tells the LA Times the city needs shelters specifically for seniors, especially those in bad health or who are disabled and beyond retirement age. Deborah?
At ESPN's ESPY Awards, 3 coaches killed in the mass shooting at Stoneman Douglas High in Parkland, Florida, honored as Coaches of the Year. Fellow coach Elliot Bonner accepted the award on behalf of Scott Beagle, Aaron Feiss, and Chris Hickson.
We're also careful today to try to stay away from anything political. But the issue of gun violence and what happened at our school isn't a political issue. It's a human issue.
He was Lumiere the Candlestick in Beauty and the Beast on Broadway. Gary Beach, nominated for a Tony in the role, has died. He was 70. This is CBS News.
To experience relief from foot and leg cramps, use TheraWorks Relief. Get TheraWorks Relief today in the pain relief aisle at your local pharmacy. Ask your pharmacist for a TheraWorks Relief. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. ZipRecruiter posts your job to over 100 job boards with just one click, and then their smart matching technology finds the right candidates. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. To prevent muscle cramps in your legs and feet, use TheraWorks Relief. This fast-acting foam is clinically proven to relieve leg and foot cramps. Get TheraWorks Relief today at select Walgreens, CVS, and Rite Aid pharmacies or TheraWorksRelief.com. Ask your pharmacist for a TheraWorks Relief.
It's time to join the millions of people using Zoom video conferencing. Turn any size conference room, huddle room, or executive office into a Zoom room with flawless HD video, crystal clear audio, and instant wireless sharing. It'll even work with your existing hardware. Start your meetings with a single touch or use Zoom's new voice command feature. Hey Zoom, start meeting. Huddle happy. Visit Zoom.us to set up your free Zoom room trial today. That's Zoom.us. Zoom video.
Now your local news from Talk Radio WRNR. Not long ago, the tab for completely repairing Lambert Pool was calculated to run over $150,000. And Roger Engel, the president of the Martinsburg-Berkeley County Parks and Rec Board, told the city the board didn't recommend keeping the place open after this year. But now the Journal's reporting that Steve Catlett, the board's executive director, says it's possible the place could reopen next summer if the pool's liner only requires periodic minor repairs. Catlett has also suggested partnering with Berkeley Medical Center to build an indoor swimming pool on 75-plus acres of land owned by the center. That would cost between $15 and $20 million. Another thought was to turn Lambert into a spray park and playground for kids. That would cost much less than a pool to operate and maintain. Come on out and support the Mountain State Apple Harvest Festival by attending the Blue Ribbon Barbecue. The event takes place Saturday, August 25th from 6 to 11 p.m. at the Warehouse in Martinsburg. I'm Adam Boardman, Talk Radio WRNR News.
Now, with your local forecast, weatherman Bob Kukin.
Downtown Martinsburg, as well as all of the eastern panhandle counties and adjacent communities, all seeing lots of sunshine here for today. High pressure off to the north of the area will give us a light east to southeasterly wind, but the sunshine prevails with a high near 84 degrees. Overnight with a clear sky, we're down to a low in the morning of 62. And then tomorrow, more sunshine for the most part, although a few scattered clouds will come in during the afternoon. Small chance of a late day shower, the high temperature 86. The weekend could bring more numerous showers and thunder showers Saturday into Sunday. I'm Bob Kukin, Talk Radio WRNR.
The 28th season of the Contemporary American Theater Festival returns to Shepherd University, July 6th through the 29th. A chance to see 6 bold new plays, including A Late Morning in America with Ronald Reagan. This world premiere from award-winning playwright Michael Weller takes us to a casual sit-down with the former president for recollections that only the First Lady might know. For a full schedule and more information, go to catf.org.
Since 1877, Farmers and Mechanics Insurance Companies have proudly supported our local community. Farmers and Mechanics has the insurance products to meet your needs, including home, auto, farm, dwelling fire, business owners, and umbrella coverage. Please contact your local independent agency for a review of your insurance needs and ask for a policy from the company that knows you best. Farmers and Mechanics Insurance Companies, just off Edwin Miller Boulevard on Administrative Drive in Martinsburg. FMIWV.com.
From the moment you're greeted at the front door, step back in time to a classic speakeasy-style restaurant and bar, Boyd's Steakhouse, featuring only the finest steaks, chops, and seafood. Come see why Boyd's Steakhouse is the friendliest place in town with the best food around. Open for lunch, dinner, and Sunday brunch. Boyd's Steakhouse on North Queen Street in the heart of downtown Martinsburg. Boyd's Steakhouse. How about tonight?
Little League All-Star Baseball.
Wrapping this one up as Jefferson gets the victory and will advance to the state tournament as the district runner-up.
It's the 10 to 12-year-old state tournament from Huntington beginning this Friday as Jefferson County takes on Cerrito Canova. The game time is at 2. Ryan Epling provides coverage beginning with a 1:45 pregame show right here on Talk Radio WRNR, the local leader in talk, news, sports.
Welcome back into Eastern Panhandle Talk with Rob and Dave. I am the Dave part. Rob is out on vacation. Matt Miller in for Rob all day or all week long. Our sponsors for this segment, the Brown Funeral Homes and Cremations, Robert Fields and Sons, a family-owned full-service funeral home that has proudly served our area since 1880, and Bechtel Jewelers, West Virginia's largest Pandora retailer on Route 11 South Inwood next to Viva Mexico. My co-host, our co-host for the morning, Catherine Cobb, who's been with us for the entire first hour, and you decided to stay. It's so nice of you. You didn't run out on me.
Nope. Happy to be here.
Oh, it's so happy to have you with us as well. For those of you who did not tune in the first hour, Catherine Cobb is a local author. She has, and a columnist, has written the column, It Is What It Is, in our local newspaper for the past 15 years. And sadly, for all of us, she is leaving West Virginia after 25 years or so here in the area, and moving because her husband has been transferred. You raised all 3 boys here in the area, didn't you?
I did.
This is their hometown. When
Yes, it is.
they look back on their life, wherever their parents go, they will always say Charlestown's their home.
Right. That's true.
That's pretty cool.
But I keep reminding them because they're irritated that we're leaving that house, that home is where we are.
Well, of course they're irritated. And guess what? They don't have any say over.
I know.
We get that from our grandchildren a lot. Every time we decide, I really don't want to take care of 5 acres anymore. I really don't want to do the landscaping. I'm tired. I don't want to do this anymore. We're going to move and downsize. And we go, oh, no, this is where we grew up, and this is our home. As if grandchildren should have any say in that.
Yeah.
So that's what happens. That's just what happens in families. And on the other hand, it's kind of dear, though, too.
Yeah, it is. I understand.
Because they have tons and tons of memories. So I've decided, Matt, about Catherine. Based upon Jim Morris, who was here in the last segment. And remember, Catherine handpicked all 3 of our guests this morning. And I think that she just must have a habit of collecting characters in her life, because if our next guest, I've only known him for about 4 minutes now, but I think this might just possibly be another one. I want to put this question to you. Have you ever met before a bus conversion artist, a school bus conversion artist?
I have not. There was a gentleman that came and did some work at my parents' house at one point in time, and he had converted a bus and was living in it as he drove around and did various odds and ends types of jobs. And so I've met him. Now, I don't know that that's what he did for a living as much as he just picked this bus, turned it into a way that he could kind of travel and live and work.
I had a Volkswagen bus once.
Me too.
Did you have one? What year was yours?
1969.
Oh, I had a 73. I had a 69 Bug, but a brand new Bug in 69, but I had a 73 bus, and I lived in Northern California at the time. Here's my memory of that was we would take it skiing up to Tahoe. It would go about 39 miles an hour up that Interstate 80, remember?
Oh, yeah.
And especially we had like 5 or 6 people in it.
Yeah.
But coming down was always fun.
Get them on the downhill.
Downhill has always been good for Volkswagens.
Will I think knows how to put a little something under the hood there, maybe. So
I'm very familiar with that Route 80 pull coming out of California. Yeah, I had our
second bus that we converted was a 1995 Chevy diesel, but don't be misled by the word diesel. It was not very powerful.
That's Will Sutherland. Will, you live in Shepherdstown, and you have one of the more interesting hobbies / advocations that I have ever come across, actually. Tell us about it.
Well, I unintentionally fell into a interest of converting school buses, and it began about 4 years ago when I was excited to build a tiny house, and we had a very bad derecho storm come through, and it ruined my project. And then winter was looming.
You mean your tiny house?
My tiny house project, yeah. And my mind started to expand a little bit on other options, and I realized, wow, a school bus is already framed in, and I didn't know how much they would cost. I was expecting $8,000 to $12,000 maybe, but no, I found one for $1,000.
$1,000 school bus?
$1,000. It was part of an IRS estate sale, so they were trying to liquidate everything, and obviously...
And little did you know it was going to change your life.
Oh, well, I went and I bought the bus. Driving it home was terrifying on 95. No registration.
You were on 95 with it?
Yeah, I was on 95. Where
was the school bus? Where did you buy it?
Down in Huntington, Maryland. And
yeah.
I was on my way back home, and it was like driving a building. It would only go 55 miles per hour also, and as much as I've complained about people poking along at 55 on the highway, now I realize sometimes you just can't go any faster.
Especially if you're driving a building.
Yeah, maybe you just have it floored.
Was it like a full-size school bus?
Well, it's called a three-quarter bus or a mid-size bus because you would count the number of windows on the side. Anything that's considered short is 4 to 6 windows. Medium is 7 to 10. And large is 11 to 14 on the sides.
Okay.
So this one was a large mid-size bus, and it had a wheelchair lift in the back, which meant it could be used to haul equipment and things also.
How was it? An older bus at the time? Or
it was
relatively new?
That bus is a 97. They retire them after a certain amount of time, whether because of the mileage or the years. School systems, like any business, they need to they need to request finances each year, so they naturally get rid of these buses after a certain amount of time.
Every year we have the two guys that run the school bus program for the Berkeley County Schools on to talk about school getting ready.
So your goal in buying the bus was to turn it into a home?
Yes, I wanted to have something that was tiny and livable, and most exciting, to be mobile. And my budget was very low. I pretty much took all the seats out, put some basic click-together flooring on the inside, like vinyl flooring, and then threw a mattress in the back on top of some 2x4 framing. Then I found a small wood stove company, and they shipped me a small wood stove, and that was the heart of the bus, I'd say. And then I left two original bus seats in and faced them towards one another, so that could be a table, and I put a little surface between the two seats. And I pretty much had everything that I needed. Obviously, I didn't have a bathroom, but I didn't mind using the outdoors when necessary. So it was a very basic bus, and I took a couple pictures of this bus, and on Facebook, so many people started telling me about Airbnb. And I had never heard of this before. At first, I just, didn't pay attention to them. And finally, after so much, people were pressing it so much on me, I checked it out and I said, oh, this might be good for me. So I put my bus on Airbnb, and literally...
You didn't, did you?
I did. Wow. I mean, literally, probably 10 minutes after I put it online, someone booked it from December 1st to December 18th. And I was like, what is happening? Who is this man coming to live in my bus on my
18
property?
days.
And honestly, the first Airbnb guest we had, I didn't even have a place to put the bus. It was just in my yard. And I was like, okay, I got to get some sheets. I gotta do something.
Yeah, I think sheets are good.
Some flowers.
I had a little water container.
Wash the windows. Did you tell him about the bathroom?
Yeah, he would come in and use the restroom as necessary.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, it was a shared situation. I was single at the time, and it just didn't really bother me having the bathroom shared.
So you had a house also at this time? Then?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So I bought my house. I mean, I would have never been able to afford a home if not for the recession. I got out of college, 4.5 years of accumulating debt, rent, tuition, alcohol, and
alcohol.
The college experience was it had a cost, but I did buy a house in Shepherdstown, a fixer-upper, and after I had fixed it up to as much as I could, my gears were still rolling as far as my upgrades, and the bus kind of was like a soft way to tone it down from my home repairs and everything. And
so here you are with a bus on your property, and you still live there.
Yes.
Okay. Is the bus still there, or does it have its own space? The bus is still there.
I actually put it in a separate spot in my yard. That's very nice. I cleared a little area, and it's around a 50-foot walk to my front door, so guests can walk down a little pathway in the house as necessary. And the bus is tucked away. It's real private. And here I am, almost 4 full years later, and I've hosted over 500 people from all over the world.
And didn't you say that's the #1 Airbnb in West Virginia?
It's the highest rated Airbnb.
Your bus is the highest rated Airbnb in the state of West Virginia.
It has almost 500 5-star reviews. I've been a super host for about 3 years.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
That is just unbelievable to me. Is it air conditioned?
It does have an air conditioner, and it has a wood stove and some heaters, because believe it or not, a lot of people don't know how to use a wood stove.
Yeah.
I believe it.
Yeah, I would believe that. People are used to flipping a button, and that's all there's to it.
Oh, yeah. The button lifestyle is hardcore. Yeah. I mean, people expect things to be... I have people message me, how do I operate this window air conditioner?
Well, now the cars don't even have keys. You just push the button and the car starts. Right?
So strange, yeah.
So you're absolutely right. So this is quite an incredible story. Is this now your only bus, or have you done other buses?
Yes, sir. I have done. Well, I'm on my 4th bus right now.
No. Okay. Tell that story. How did you get to? Tell us how you got to the second bus.
Well, the second bus came. All right. I met my girlfriend, Sabrina Hartley. Lovely lady. She's listening right now.
Hi, Sabrina.
We got the bus. Together, our second bus. It was a short one. It came from Altos, down there where you near the county line.
All right.
And Altos had bought this bus from a church, and they didn't use it, so I bought it, and I took all the seats out. We made it into a tiny bus, and we drove that little bad boy all the way to Maine, and then all the way to Northern California, and then down south to San Diego.
Seats in it, or did
we had taken the seats
out. You fixed it up first.
Yeah.
Oh, it's really neat looking, actually.
Yeah, we fixed it up. It's actually sold now. I sold it to a teacher friend of ours who has it in North Carolina. She's doing some summer class trainings. And but this bus was great. It was a good size. It fit Sabrina and I and our dog just fine. And then when we got home, we immediately realized, wow, our house is huge. We were gone for about a month in this bus, and we get home to a 960 square foot home, and it feels like, why do we need all this space?
And that's not a very large home, 960
no, not at all.
square feet. But to you, it looked like a mansion.
Half of it is full of shoes and bags. Yeah. But the third bus came when we realized we would like to have a bus.
You talk about these buses like as sort of children that were adopted. I think
this
the
is
third
true.
Bus came to us.
I've named them also. So we have...
Oh, they all have names.
Oh, great.
All right, bus number 1 name?
That became affectionately known as just the Airbnb bus.
Okay, gotcha.
And then came the Woody bus.
The Woody bus.
And now we have the Willbilly bus.
The Willbilly. That was bus number 3.
Bus number 3, and that one is just a little bigger than the short one that we had, but that one we can fit both of our dogs in. It gets around the same miles per gallon.
How many, what is that?
On a good day, 13. Okay. On average, 10.
All right, about the same as a motorhome then, really.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yep. But it has a diesel engine also, and most motorhomes, if you get the diesel, it costs a good bit more. But
just a note about the Willbillies thing, because I think this is such a fun part of who you are, but on Instagram and Facebook, under Willbillies, people can look at some funny videos and pictures that Will posts of his life on the farmette, basically. And, I mean, I went and looked. You have 223,965 followers on Facebook on the Willbillies page.
How many? Tell me how many?
223,000.
I've never even heard of that.
965.
That's like rock star stuff.
And 5,400 on Instagram, because these are just the greatest videos. They're hilarious. Go check it out. Follow Willbillies, and it's a good time. Willbillies, yeah.
It's hillbilly, but with a W, because I'm not full blown hillbilly. I'm a little bit of a hippie at heart, so I didn't want to side with one way or the other. It's just I'm just a Willbilly. I am what I am.
That's cool. Matt and Dave, along with Katherine Cobb, are visiting with Will Sutherland, who is. Let's see, what do we call him? A school bus conversion expert.
Yeah, he's got a book deal now, so that's kind of the newest thing to talk about.
Talked about that book, yeah.
Well, the book deal came after an article featured my bus in Popular Mechanics magazine, and it was mainly
That's pretty big.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was more of a product placement article in a lot of ways, but we still got a 4-page spread of our bus and a couple of our buddies who have vans, camping and hanging out, and of course they gave us all this cool camping gear and stuff.
Swag.
And then after this article, the article came out, and I got contacted by a publishing company who encouraged me to pitch a book to them, and they're based out of Boston, Storybook Productions. And I pitched the school bus book idea. They loved it, and then they advanced me the money to build a bus specifically for the book. And
why didn't I think to write about that?
Really?
I've never had a book advance.
You had to buy a bus. You had to buy a bus first.
Sorry.
Yeah, you have to buy the bus. That's the whole chapter here. I have the book, the manuscript in front of me.
I thought when I first looked at that, I said, I hope he doesn't think he's going to get through all those notes.
No, sir. No, I don't think I'll even read this book again. I wrote it.
So the whole chapter on how to buy a bus. But so they forward you the money to buy a 4th bus now.
Yes.
And why did they want a special bus? Why weren't the buses you already had good enough?
They wanted to document the entire conversion process.
Oh, okay.
From point A to point Z.
Pictures and everything.
Through photos, the whole kit and caboodle. So, and they arrive next week, and they will be here to document a whole week of the conversion process. So in advance, I've been bending over backwards trying to get all these points in line on this conversion so that when they arrive, it looks like it's easy. Which means my life is a nightmare right now.
What's the name of this book going to be?
Schoolie, Skoolie, and that is the nickname for school bus conversions.
Do you think that you might be starting something really big here?
Oh, I can never take credit for that.
I mean, this could sweep the nation. This could sweep the nation, yeah?
This began in the 60s.
Oh, yeah, it did.
It's just, and I have folks walk up to me at gas stations all the time. Thanks so much for continuing this, lifestyle, man. It's so good to see a younger generation still out there. I'm like, oh, thanks, buddy.
We used to smoke doobies in one of these in 69. We drove one to Woodstock.
Everybody has some friend or memory about a school bus that they had, something they did something cool with, whether it was a band bus, But this is a contemporary version of it. We're using materials now that are much more, tiny house friendly because of the tiny house movement. That's really overflowed a lot of those, the same elements that go into a tiny house translate over to school bus conversion.
What is it about a tiny space that people like? What are they drawn to? Let's say a more traditional, couple 1,000 square foot house.
I think first is simplicity, less is more. And second, people don't always have the money to buy a house, or they have owned a house and they realize, wow, this owns me. I can't escape this, monthly payment. And if you are a young adult or even an old couple who wants to be able to travel around and own something that you've built that doesn't cost you a bunch of money, and your life is simplified that much.
I had an experience Debbie and I shared for about 15 years. We sold it about, 10 years ago, so I'm trying to get the maybe mid-90s to 05, somewhere there, where we had a 42-foot houseboat on the Ohio River near Pittsburgh and docked at a marina. Mm-hmm. And some of my happiest times were spent when we would just decide, let's take some time off. Let's take a week or so, 10 days, and just live on the houseboat. for a while.
Houseboats are cool.
They're so cool because then you know, and we had so much fun navigating the Ohio. You have to go through the locks there and everything.
Yeah.
But really, a houseboat, all it is just a motorhome that floats or a bus that floats.
Yeah.
That's really what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
And but in that tiny space, I had everything. I had a place to cook. I had a place to eat. I had a place to sit and watch. You know, when we were on shore, we had cable TV. We could hook it up to the boat. I mean, we had all the amenities, but in a much smaller space.
I think one of the things that fascinates people who are in these school buses is how easy it is to have the same benefits in a bus as you would at home. People ask me, like, what about a bathroom? Like, well, you can have a bathroom, you can have a commode, and you can have a shower. You don't have to compromise these things. There are point-of-use propane showers. There's composting toilets. There's endless things that will be easy to transition from living in a house to a bus or a houseboat. And most of the things that go into a houseboat also can be put into a bus.
Mm-hmm.
What's the cost now? You say you spent $1,000 on that first bus, and how much did you? This is your Airbnb bus.
Yeah.
Give us an estimated cost on bringing it up to code, if you will. I mean, to make it really cool.
I spent $2,500 on total.
So you have it's 1,000 plus 2,500. So for $3,500, you had a place to live.
Yep.
Or for other people to stay in this case.
I did. Yep. And over the years, it's been paying for my school loans for 4 years now.
What does it cost to spend a night there?
$59.
$59. So
it's a bargain.
We've had folks from all over the world. I used to travel a lot more when I was younger, but now I don't have to because the culture's come to me.
You spend time with them when they come. You get to talk to them about their country and where they're from.
We chat a good bit, and it's amazing to see the different types of people that come from different parts of, even locally. We have guests from Baltimore come out, and then guests from D.C., and on average, our Baltimore guests are more social, I'd say. And then we have people come from Europe, and they are much more akin to a sharing community environment. They will walk in, make food, sit down with us, watch television, not a big deal. Some people are more standoffish, and some people are amazingly respectable where they insist on making us food. It's just overwhelming, the fluctuation in cultures that we have come to our little slice of West Virginia.
What an interesting bonus that is to having this Airbnb, because I know some people who are they have qualms about staying in someone's room in a house or whatever. The Airbnb can come in so many different forms. Mm-hmm. But I love that idea of being able to, engage with other people and learn about them and share some moments. That's like old school living right there.
Well, the way we have it set up, the bus you can be as private or as social as you like. The bus is separate from the house. Right. It's tucked in the woods, to where no one can be up there looking in. Or if you want to just stay on the bus the whole time, I've had folks work on research papers. We had a gentleman from New York Times come out and publish an article inauguration night. It was cool to see it shared on my Facebook page, knowing that it was published from my bus.
Yeah, exactly.
Uploaded from up. And then at the same time, you can come into the house and hang out, pet our little bunny, whatever.
Exactly.
Will Sutherland, the Eastern Panhandle's own bus man, I guess you could say. What a pleasure it is to have you. How can people find you if they want to learn more?
You can check us out on Airbnb and look up a cozy school bus conversion in Shepherdstown. You can find us on Instagram at Willbillys, WILLBILLYS, and on Facebook, WV Willbillys.
Nice. And he will be at the event tonight, Catherine?
No, he's not at the event tonight.
Okay.
He was working.
Yeah, I'm working a concert.
I mean, I'm always fascinated by the different number of ways that one can make a living in this country of ours. And this is the first time I've ever, met someone who does what you do. I think it's absolutely fascinating. And it goes back, once again, if you do something you love, you'll never work a day in your life, right?
Exactly.
When's your book due out?
Well, I hope to have it out by Christmas.
Okay. People can look for it soon.
Yeah, I'm super excited about this.
Yeah. And it's going to be a book with pictures in it and all of that. So it will be probably extremely entertaining, but will also walk someone through the process that if they wanted to do what you did, they can learn it in this book then.
I wanted it to be very approachable to where you could open it up and still be entertained if you don't want to bus at all, just see the pictures, but at the same time, very informative.
Yeah.
But not intimidating as far as the conversion process. I didn't go into super amazing detail about how to do, too many elaborate things. I kept it simple for the average person who just wants to, make the transition out of a home and into a bus, or just have it for temporary use.
Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Catherine, we're going to bring on Dan Rowzie as our guest at 9:30. We're going to take a short break. Give us a little tease on Dan. What's up?
Dan is what I would call the quintessential car guy. And he also participated in the Cannonball years ago.
Fascinated to
that outlaw coast-to-coast race. People want to hear about that.
I've had people tell me about it. Wasn't there like a documentary or something done on it?
No, there was a cheesy movie starring Burt Reynolds.
We're going to take just a short break here on Eastern Panhandle Talk with Rob and Dave. Thanks for being with us. We'll be back.
Play my guitar and sing.
Come in now for the summer clearance event at Miller's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Martinsburg, where you can get up to $11,250 in total savings on a 2018 Ram Bighorn. Pay just $229 a month with $3,499 down. How about a 2019 Jeep Cherokee for only $189 a month with $34.99 down and up to $4,000 cash back? Get $3,250 off a 2018 Dodge Challenger or Charger with payments as low as $179 per month. Going green? Check out the 2018 Hybrid Pacifica with a $7,500 federal tax credit. These savings and more are available at the summer clearance event at Miller's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram on Kelly Island Road or online at millerschryslerjeep.com. Your Chrysler certified pre-owned dealer. All payments based on approved credit, taxes, tags, and processing fees extra. See dealer for details. For an Allstate agent, providing protection that fits your life is something they take, well, personally. Allstate agents are committed to learning about your needs and personalizing protection to meet them. From bundling your auto, home, and life insurance with ease to evaluating optional coverage based on your protection needs, your Allstate agent can build an insurance proposal that fits your life. Are you in good hands? Contact Martinsburg Allstate agent Gary Kelly today for a free quote at 304-263-4596. Life insurance offered through Allstate Life Insurance Company and Allstate Assurance Company, Northbrook, Illinois, and American Heritage Life Insurance Company, Jacksonville, Florida.
You've been injured, you're missing work, the medical bill collectors keep calling, and the other person's insurance company wants a lot of confusing paperwork signed and returned. At Ferretti Law Office, we handle these situations to protect your rights and get you the compensation you deserve. We explain how the insurance coverages work for your benefit and what a lawyer like me can do to make a difference. Call Ferretti Law Office at 264-8505 to schedule an appointment to discuss your situation for free. At Ferretti Law Office, we're here to help.
The WVU Medicine Spring Mills office building is now open. This new 3-story, 40,000 square foot facility is conveniently located off Interstate 81, exit 20 at the intersection of US 11 and Campus Drive. The WVU Medicine Spring Mills medical office building features many different offices and services for area residents. It's now home to urgent care, women's imaging center, lab services, and primary care pediatrics. The WVU Medicine Spring Mills office building now open to serve you.
Welcome back into the final segment of Eastern Panhandle Talk with Rob and Dave. Rob is out, Matt is in, and joining us on the show for the entire time today, my dear friend Katherine Cobb, local author and columnist, soon to be leaving us in West Virginia and going off to a new adventure.
Yep.
You've lasted the whole time, and what great guest you brought with us today.
Thank you.
Today.
Great. I'm having a great time.
So, converting a school bus, I mean, that's just, and living in it, and then becoming the top-rated Airbnb owner in the state of West Virginia.
Yeah.
where people come from all over the world and stay in a school bus. Someone made that up. That can't be true.
I just really, what I like about Will is his lifestyle. The fact that he, to me, it's a little bit of a throwback, like trying to live real life, on his farmette. And if you look at his Will Billy stuff, you'll see what I mean. It's funny, and he's just a friendly, engaging guy.
No doubt about it. We've also brought on for our last segment Dan Rowzie. Introduce Dan properly, so you know him much better than I do, since I just met him 2 minutes ago.
Right. Well, actually, I've known Dan now a really long time. Has it been 25 years? Do you
24.
24.
No, I go back about that far with her as well.
Mm-hmm.
He lives right across the street from us.
Okay.
In Charlestown.
It's been very interesting.
I'm sure
Greg and I do well. Her husband and I do very well with the car projects, and
they're both car guys.
Car talk.
Dan's been a car guy a little bit longer, and he definitely has an appreciation for fine cars. He's owned some fine cars, and one of the fun facts about him for me is that he participated in the Cannonball, and I know people will want to hear about that today too. But I was interested in knowing, how you got interested in cars in the first place and how old you were. I know for my husband it was really young, but...
I was pretty young. I guess I was 13. I was trying to think of the age. I think I was 13. I was at the beach with my mom and dad, nothing to do. And I'm wandering around by myself. And I went in a drugstore and bought a hot rod magazine. I should have bought a Neville Shute book or something like that. But started leafing through the hot rod book and got very interested in the car culture in California. Oh my gosh, they're building cars. They're going on the salt flats and they're racing. They're going over 100 miles an hour. And this was way back. This is 1953 maybe.
And where were you living?
I was in Alexandria.
Okay.
I grew up in Alexandria.
Do you remember the month in 1953 when you first got
It was summer.
Oh, okay, because I was born in April of that year. So
okay. April. No, this was later. We were at the beach, so it would probably been August.
Right, okay.
I would think August. And I think that's as close as I can get to this awakening or whatever it was. And then I started noticing cars, and I saw this big Buick somewhere, 49 Buick convertible. It was yellow with green interior. It sounds horrible. But God, what a combination. What a neat car. And then I was off and running. And by the time I was 16, I had my first car, which was a 48 Plymouth Club Coupe, which was a real pretty little car. And it belonged to a lady, and it was in perfect condition. Very nice. And of course, I customized it and screwed it up. And
you had to.
And you read all these little magazines along with I was getting these little small magazines. There was Rod and Custom and Carcraft. I forget what it was. They were a whole bunch of little small magazines, and just full of customizing tips and putting all these different tail lights on a car. Different tail lights, like Pontiac tail lights on a Ford, the round tail lights, which are still done today. It's it's the tail light to do, or the 40 Ford tail light, a 39 tail light.
So you were tricking out in the 50s long before it was widely popular, huh?
Yeah, you were kind of there at the genesis of that movement. That's neat.
It was. And somehow I got into a couple other cars. I had a Model A Roadster that I was going to put a Chevy V8. When the V8s came out in 55, I bought a 55 Chevy engine from a junker in Petersburg, Virginia, went all the way down there with a little trailer and brought it home. It had been in a burned car, and I forgot what I paid for it. And luckily, it never got into the car. It couldn't find people to do that in Virginia. California, it would have been done in probably 2 weeks. And so anyway, went from that, and I bought a new Chevy convertible in 57 instead of going back to college like I should have. So I guess it was pretty...
This is now an official addiction.
Yeah, I was bitten pretty hard. Right. And of course, then that went away, and somehow I got interested in sports cars. So I went from that to a 48 MGTC right-hand drive. Had been a race car all over the East Coast, and it was
British made.
Yes, and it was a 49 before MG was importing cars. They were all right-hand drives up to that point. And kept that for a while, and then I really kind of was looking at Porsches. I went to the races at Marlboro, the sports car races, and I saw this guy running a Speedster, which is an open car, and he was hitting the same point on the track every time, and this car was going 8,000 RPM, high RPMs. Turns out it's about 8,000, which was unheard of. And this guy was hitting the same spot every time. And the noise the car made, he was beating stuff he shouldn't have beat. He was beating Ferraris and big cars and this little dinky Porsche. And I thought, God, I got to have one of those. so I managed to have 12 of those over the years.
Wow. Where were your parents in all of this?
Oh, they were very permissive. maybe I was through.
They also set a trend, I guess.
I was through with parents at that time. I was out of the house. I was on my own. Right. And anyway, had a bunch of Porsches. I kind of got into Porsches, even though I love hot rods. I love custom cars. I love classic cars, and pretty much the whole gamut of cars.
My best friend had a brand new 1971 Porsche that he had for years, and actually, I think he got it. His parents, I think it was his dad's for about a year, and so he ends up with this car given to him by his dad at around 18 or 19 years old, and he had that thing till he was 30. It ran forever.
What a lucky guy.
Beautiful, beautiful car.
Then did you work on your cars, Dan?
I used to do a lot of work myself. I don't do very much anymore, but
so you like that part of the process too?
I had a house down on the river between Alexandria and Mount Vernon. I had a little pad outside this little garage under the front porch, and the pad was all cracked up, and I pulled more engines on that little pad and put them back in and did other people's engines, and had a lot of cars. I probably had 50 Porsches maybe, and of that
50 Porsches. No one owned 50 Porsches.
Well, they weren't worth much at that time. I was buying.
Were you buying them and fixing them up and then?
No, I just buying them.
That's spoken like a true car guy.
Somebody said, "Well, why did you buy that?" I said, "Because I liked it."
I hear that a lot in my house. Every time a trailer pulls up in front of my house, Dan is the first one there to see what's coming to the Cobb house.
Usually something pretty neat. I bought a 550 Spider, which is what the aluminum two-seat Porsche that James Dean was killed in.
Oh.
And one like that. And it was only maybe 40 of those built by the factory. They're $1 million plus cars now, and I bought it for, I think, $1,100 with a little trailer. And it had a wrong motor. It had a regular motor, not the exotic motor. And that car is in a collection in Belgium, last I heard. I had a 904, which I paid, something around $7,000. They were only $7,400 new.
Oh, my.
And they're $1 million cars. I've had 5 of those kinds of cars, but they weren't worth anything when I bought them. They were worth something, but not like they are. And I couldn't even buy them.
Do you ever wish that you had held on to them so you could have got $1 million price tag?
Not really. When the 904 went up the road on a trailer, I was secretly relieved, because I was worried. It had a very exotic motor, and there weren't very many people in this area that could do those cars. So I was always worried that something would happen to it. In fact, I bought a spare motor and a spare bunch of parts just in case. And I bought a spare Carrera motor, a 4K motor, and all these parts and stuff for about $1,800. And I sold just the motor disassembled for $1,000. Now they're worth about $40,000-$50,000 or more.
When I got my first car and my driver's license in 1969, the price of gasoline. By the way, my first car was a '58 Carmen Ghia. So
perfect.
That would be one I'd like to have back now, right? But I remember gasoline per gallon was about 24 cents a gallon in Southern California. What was it in the 50s when you started driving? About the same, probably.
20-some cents. I worked at a Sinclair station right after I got out of high school, and my parents were very upset about that. Because, like, what's he doing working at a gas station? Well, I liked it. That's what I wanted to do. And I learned a little bit more about cars, and I always wanted to learn more. And gas was in the 20s 28, 27.
I mean, back then when you pulled into the gas station and said, I want a buck's worth, it really meant something.
Oh, yeah. You
can have a tank in a Volkswagen.
You go a week or more.
Yeah.
And I was very impressed when these guys, hot rod guys, would come in with these souped-up cars, and they bought Sinclair Bethylene. And it was,
104.
Oh, yeah.
It's about 104 octane.
Seriously, and it was 40-some cents a gallon.
Yeah, but it was like jet fuel. I mean, it was just...
40-some cents a gallon. I was like, my gosh, how can they do that? And I became friends with most of those guys. And anyway, it was fun times.
My dad got a brand new 67 Mustang. We had the 64 and a halves, the 65 and the 66s, and they slightly altered the body a little bit, not dramatically in the 67s. And he had the 390 engine in it. That's the car I took my driver's test in.
Wow.
When I was 16. And I remember going to the DMV and the instructor gets in, and that car's like, it was a fast car.
Yeah.
And he turns to me and said, easy, son.
I took my test in our 1969 Volkswagen bus.
No way.
That's how I had to learn to drive that.
That's
what I learned to drive on.
That was brave with a clutch and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Because they never made those in an automatic, I don't think.
No.
It's like driving a brick.
Yeah. What about you? What did you take your driver's
I think
test
it was
in?
52 Chevy, I believe.
How about you, Matt?
Oh!
I don't even remember.
You don't even remember.
Oh, that was such a big day.
Those are momentous moments.
I failed my first test.
Oh, by going 90 and a
Horrible.
25.
No. I parked and I was quite a ways away from the curb. And the woman did not tell me I had two chances. She just ripped the paper off and gave it.
You mean on the parallel parking thing?
Yeah. And
See, I know. I learned how to parallel park by going to a university in a downtown. I went to a school in the inner city, and if you didn't know how to parallel park and do it fast, you were going to get run over. So that's how I learned how to do that.
So let's fast forward to the Cannonball. You were in one of those
Catherine,
Porsches,
let's take
right?
let's take a short break right now and come back on the Cannonball.
Okay.
You're listening to Eastern Panhandle Talk with Rob and Dave. We'll be right back. Thanks.
What words come to mind when you think of Honda? Reliable should be one. Fun, that's a good one. How about stunning, comfortable, refined? I could go on, but there is one word that sums up every Honda. Quality. Because Honda was KBB.com's 2018 Best Overall Brand, and we worked hard to earn that honor. Because without quality, nothing else you call a Honda matters. So whether you choose the sizzling Civic, acclaimed Accord, adventurous HRV, fearless Fit, awesome Odyssey, conscientious Clarity, remarkable Ridgeline, polished Pilot, or sporty CRV, you know you're getting Honda quality that's truly unmatched. In fact, we make sure of it. So visit your local Honda dealer and get into KBB.com's 2018 Best Overall Brand.
Miller Honda, south of Winchester, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty. www.mymillerhonda.com.
Based on 2018 Brand Image Awards from Kelly Blue Book. Visit KBB.com for more information.
Do you hear that? Nothing beats the sound of summer unless it's finding a way to make cleaning your pool easier. Now you can with Pool Life. Our complete line of premium pool care products is the easiest solution under the sun for crystal clear, clean pool fun. Get the most brilliant clean ever seen all summer long with Pool Life. Only at fine pool dealers like John's Pool Supplies, close to Gold's Gym on Eagle School Road in Martinsburg. Ask about quality PDC hot tubs. Phone 267-2000 or go online at johnspoolsupplies.com.
Will Greer to David Sills is a winning combination WVU fans know well.
Greer throwing toward the end zone. Ball caught. Post pattern. Sills. Touchdown. David Sills hauls it in.
The Mountaineers, Talk Radio WRNR, and your business is a dynamic combination like no other. Contact our station. Add your company to the coverage of the great tradition of West Virginia Mountaineer football and basketball. Heard right here on Talk Radio WRNR, the Panhandle Sports radio station.
Welcome back into the program. We're talking with Dan Rowzie about cars. And I don't think I've ever met Catherine Cobb, my co-host today. I don't think I've ever met anyone who loves cars more than this man.
or had as many, maybe.
There's no doubt about that. We're just talking about what kind of car. We all took our first driver's test in. Savant Hunter, our intern, I'm going to turn to you. How about this for a question of the day? What kind of car did you take your driver's test in? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's good.
That'll be good. Well, let's throw that on Facebook, and if you'd like to join in, please go to WRNR Facebook and let us know what kind of car you took your first driver's test in. You were going to talk, Catherine, about the cannonball. This is something I knew a little bit about, but not a lot. This is what I've been waiting for all morning long, is the story about the cannonball.
Right. So Dan is part of sort of a prestigious group of folks because the original race, and I don't know what's going on with it today, but there were 5, correct? 4?
Yeah.
Okay, of these, and the actual name was the Cannonball Baker Sea to Shining Sea Memorial Trophy Dash. And there weren't a lot of rules. You left from, I don't know if you left from New York or Connecticut, and you left after midnight, and the thing was get to California to a certain location as fast as possible.
The Santa Monica Pier.
It was the Portofino Inn in Redondo Beach. Right, okay. And we ran in and hit the clock, the ching-ching clock, and we ching-chinged out of the Red Ball Garage on 31st in Lexington in downtown New York.
And you all left at the same time?
We left within 5 minutes apart, and the window was about 3 hours in the evening. We spent all afternoon being photographed on the top of the Red Ball Garage for the cover of Car and Driver magazine. The guy that the daddy of the Cannonball was Brock Yates, and he was the editor of Car and Driver. And he was very vocal on all of the government meddling into the cars. And as you know, and the first Cannonball was 71, and actually he ran one by himself and kind of set the precedent and talked about it. And then he started getting challenges from crazy people, like Oscar Kowaleski, who had the Polish racing drivers team, and Oscar challenged him to a race. So then there was 2 or 3 more the end of fall of 71. And that was when Brock Yates and Dan Gurney, the famous race driver, drove the Ferrari Daytona across country and set the record of 36 hours and 54 minutes, I believe it was. And then the year that I did it, someone beat that record by 1 minute in a Ferrari Dino, a little tiny Ferrari 2-seater.
You were in a 73 Porsche.
I was in a 73 911S, but it had an engine from the 74 IROC race. And there were 12 cars that ran this bunch of 4 racetracks around the country, and drivers from all the different genres of car racing were invited to run these cars, and they would switch the cars off. They were Easter egg color Porsches that the factory did. And Mark Donahue and Roger Penske engineered this, or ran this thing for Porsche and for television, and became the International Race of Champions. Then later on it went as Camaros, I guess, did them later on. Porsche did it 1 year. And my friend bought a spare motor, an IROC motor, which was a 3-liter Carrera hot rod motor. My gosh, what a motor. It had great big fuel injection stacks, and it idled.
Don't get emotional on me now, Daddy. We don't want you crying on.
Where's the steering wheel?
I want you to break down and cry.
The steering wheel.
Are you talking about your partner that was with you? That was
Leo. Yeah, Leo Lynch. He was his car, and had the motor done, and probably paid as much for that motor as he did for the whole car.
And how did you guys decide to do the Cannonball? What?
He had done one in 72. There were 4 real ones, 71, 72, 75, and 79.
Mm-hmm.
And
he had done one?
He had done one and had a failure in Pennsylvania Turnpike. And then I kept saying, if you ever do that again, you need a partner. Let me know. Oh, my gosh, I want to run that. So I got a call one day at work. I'm sitting there, and he calls, and he was a very bombastic guy. He said, "You want to drive the Cannonball?" And I said, yeah. And then I thought about it later after I hung up. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose my security clearance. I worked for Navy Department. I was, had a secret clearance.
Only if you get caught.
Yeah. And,
So was it illegal to be in the Cannonball?
Pardon me?
Was it
No,
illegal?
but if you got arrested and put in jail for a month or 3 weeks or something for some crazy, some
For like going 120 on an Indiana freeway or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because my only ticket was 93, I guess, but it was at the end of the entrance ramp, and I hadn't really entered the highway yet. And I was out of gear even.
And he was excited. 93 and you weren't even off the ramp yet.
Well, he was waiting. The guy was waiting for us. The truckers had called him, and we stopped for gas, and I went up the ramp. It was a long ramp, and the guys at the gas station had a 427 Corvette. They were both standing in front of it with their arms crossed, looking with distaste at the Porsche. And I thought, well, let's see what do you think? What do you think of this?
So how long did it take you and your partner to cross the country?
We were 38, 39.
38 hours.
39, and we had a few unscheduled stops.
And you took turns driving? Is that how it works? Okay.
Yes.
So every car had 2 drivers, so no one had...
Well, some had 8 drivers, 7 drivers. There's actually a Travco motorhome on our with 7 guys in it. They were PR guys. They were automobile PR guys or magazine PR guys. So they were sending press releases all over the place while it was going on, before it happened and after. So we were covered in Newsweek, newspapers all over the place. We were mentioned on television, and John Harder on Channel 7 talked about us. He was a friend of ours, and he mentioned that 2 gentlemen from Alexandria, from the area, just finished crossing the country, and he had a big smile on his face, or smirk.
And you all came in 4th.
Fifth, we were 5th, yeah.
In Brock's book, he said you were 4th.
Okay.
He bumped you up. He also said...
But they're not doing this Cannonball anymore,
No. He had pressure. I think at that time it was getting a lot of, he were combining with a lot of other magazines, and there was a lot of corporate pressure, I think, and a lot, it's, if something happens, it's pretty serious.
You need to write a book. Dan Rowzie, great stories, and I'm so happy to have learned what you experienced in the Cannonball race. It's got to be a great memory for you.
It was. I enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for
much appreciated. Katherine Cobb, we only have about a minute and a half left.
Okay.
And, so I just wanted to say how much fun I had having you today, how dear it is to have you as a friend. You are colorful, you are intelligent, you are all of that, and what a wonderful writer you are, and what a great contribution you have made to the Eastern Panhandle all of these years. So on behalf of a very grateful community, I want to say thank you for all that you've done. We will miss you. We hope that you're not a stranger, and anytime you're back in the Eastern Panhandle, we hope that you'll come and spend some time with us on the show.
Oh, thank you, David. I really appreciate that. I've always enjoyed my time here, and I certainly have enjoyed knowing you. The East Coast brought us together, and you were one of my favorite employers, and now you're one of my favorite friends.
You will be very, very much missed, and appreciate so much. Next time, when your next book comes out, please let us know. And one more mention about tonight at the Jefferson County Library
Museum, which is right underneath the library. Mm-hmm. There will be an author chat with special guests. 3 of my guests from Panhandle Portraits will be there, including Jim, who was here earlier. It starts at 6:30 p.m., goes to about 8.
Please go. If you live anywhere in the Eastern Panhandle and are listening to this show, this would be a great evening, I think, for anyone just out to have a real nice time. Tomorrow we'll have Jason Barrett, Joe Ferretti, and Mike Carl. They'll be around the table, Matthew, for the political crew will be in. Lots of great things to talk about because there's been so much stuff going on this week in the world of politics, both at the state and the national level. And I hope you get your voice back.
I'm working on it.
Yeah. That's the only reason Matt's been a little quiet today. He lost his voice yesterday. You've been listening to Eastern Panhandle Talk with Rob and Dave. So happy to have had you along for these 2 hours. Stay with us here at WRNR. The Glenn Beck Show is next.